After witnessing a bizarre, traumatic incident involving a patient, Rose starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she cannot explain. Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. First of all, this movie's storyline follows many of your typical beats of a supernatural horror mystery. From the opening scene, you know exactly what kind of horror film you're getting into. It's the same storytelling device used throughout the genre, using one's traumatic past to hunt them through an entity so unbeatable that the protagonist must come to terms with themselves and the real demons that are haunting them. This movie feels really derivative as it doesn't really have any of its own terms. It borrows heavily from many other horror movies and combines them into one. You can feel the inspirations coming from movies like It Follows, The Ring, The Grudge, Oculus, and more. It's a bit of mimicry, a paint-by-number setup that is content to feel consistently familiar. This movie is based on a 2020 short film, and in padding out the concept from a short into a nearly 2-hour movie, it leans too heavily not only on formulaic mystery plotting, but also on horror themes and imagery lifted from other popular horror movies. As the events of the film unfold, you can feel the adaptation from short to long-form storytelling being stretched to its limits. This stems from the central conceit of this movie being a dubious rehash of smart ideas from the past, meshing together with pacing issues throughout the middle sections of the film. The basic idea that there's an evil entity that just creepily smiles at you is actually promising. It's ripe with possibility. Unfortunately, this movie never lives up to it. It wants to be many of these inspirations that it's taken from other movies, but in an attempt to check those boxes, it fails to make it fresh and new. There are decent jump scares, handful of quite intense smile scenes, some decent gore, but that's few and far between when compared to the main story of Rose trying to solve the overarching mystery and being gaslit. This main story that lays the groundwork is rather weak and uninteresting without any substance. It feels like huge chunks of the story, particularly a backstory about Rose and her mother, are glossed over or barely touched on. The script obviously wants to explore trauma and its long-lasting impacts, which is not a problem, but Rose's core trauma and inability to get anyone to believe her removes any of the decent stuff that the movie sometimes brings. The film almost becomes punishing in its insistence that Rose is an unescapable no-win situation. So the true scare doesn't come from the evil presence, but it comes more from the humans who don't believe in it. In terms of the creature, the script leaves a lot to be desired. There's simply no setup, as things for this creature are made up and unfold as the film goes along. The movie doesn't offer any new insight into the psychological horror genre either. It makes no attempt to really understand anything about mental illness. It's merely on hand to serve as a plot device. Overall, we don't think it's worth to watch this in theater. Just wait on your streaming service.